Okay, wanted to do a quick video here on something that doesn't get much camera time in my gym, which is my DIY gun rack bar holder here. And again, forgive the video quality and the dicking around with the camera here. I'm no photographer and the phone is the potato and it's sitting in a shoe. So, anyway, the reason this doesn't get a whole lot of attention or screen time in the videos is because it's typically behind the camera. So a lot of times the camera is sitting right about here on a little prop with my fancy Chuck Taylor shoe holder or Chuck Taylor phone holder. Anyway, I just wanted to make a quick video about this because it might save you some money. So when I had accumulated a couple of different bars, I thought, well, I'd like to be able to store them I don't want them laying on the floor, and I didn't want them on the rack because they'd be in the way, and I knew I wanted horizontal bar storage because I only have 8-foot ceilings, and so if you got a 7-foot bar, or like this SSB is a little bit longer than 7 feet, so that's a real pain because you end up running it into the ceiling all the time when you're taking it in and out. So I knew I wanted horizontal bar storage. But all of the options that are available are sort of a one-piece cast unit. There's two of them, but each side is just one piece, and it's got hooks that are evenly spaced, and they're all the same width apart because you're supposed to just screw it right in the stud, right? Like you can't move the hooks individually and adjust the width, and you can't adjust the height. And that's a problem because not all bars are the same. If all you had is a bunch of Olympic bars, fine. But if you've got a press bar and a curl bar and an SSB, these are all very different bars. So the solution I came up with is this. So these are just 1x4 boards that I had laying around in the shop, and they are screwed into the studs using construction screws, deck screws basically. They're just uncoated deck screws, again, because that's what I had on hand. They're probably, 3-inch long screws, and so they're anchored in there very solidly. And then what each of these individual little hooks are is these are utility hooks that you can buy at Lowe's for just a couple of dollars, and then here, let me take you in and show you here. So they're these little gray, I think the brand is Blue Hawk, and again, they only cost like maybe $1.50 or $2 a piece. And I liked these because they had the ability to take 2 screws. And so for a lot of these bars, what I've done is if I don't need to move the width, like with this guy, I'll talk about in a minute, this hook is not centered. But here, this can be centered. So these got long screws too. And so these are actually screwed into the stud through this board. Now, that's not necessary, but it's a little extra rigidity, especially when this bar weighs 60 pounds and you're dropping it on the hooks because you're tired, and it's kind of, a little bit cumbersome to deal with. So there's 2 great reasons to do it this way, and it is all about adjustability and price. So the 1x4s were free, the screws I already had, and then these hooks, so I've got let's be generous and say $2 a hook. So I've got $8 in this side and I got 16 bucks in it. Whoop-de-doo. So anyway, with regard to the lateral adjustment, as you can see, if I would have bought a standard bar gun rack, this, where the collar is on this little curl bar, this is a Rogue curl bar, would be sitting on the hook. It would never sit centered. It would be I'd have to cock it to one side and have the sleeve in one hook and then the bar in the other hook. Or it may not go at all, or there's just, who knows, right? Simultaneously with this press bar, it's really wide. So if I had the standard hook arrangement, this is always going to, and the same thing is true of this SSB, I'm going to be negating the amount of storage I have because this is going to have another hook here and it's going to hit it all the time and be annoying. So with this arrangement, I can move these hooks in, and now this isn't in a stud anymore because it's too far in. But again, this only weighs 30 pounds, and so it's fine to have it just screwed into this board. And there's two reasons to use the board rather than just putting the hooks directly into the studs. One is it gives you that lateral adjustment because you can screw into the board and you're not screwing in drywall. Drywall won't hold shit. The second is it gives you a little bit of spacing. So as you can see, the bar doesn't rest, like the sleeve isn't touching the wall. The only thing that touches the wall is this SSB because the camber makes the weight do it. The pad, see this? The pad touches the wall, which is perfectly fine. But nothing else is touching the wall, so the wall doesn't get beat up. Quick mid-video shout out to my brother Mason, who made me this pretty rad owl thing. It's sheet metal that he cut out with, I think, a plasma cutter. But I think that thing's pretty rad. And so, thanks, bub. Anyway, back to this DIY gun rack. So, like I said, it gives you the versatility. I like this arrangement right here really, really well. The SSB is the heaviest and the most awkward, and it also is the longest top to bottom. So it goes on the bottom, that way the handles can be down, and it's also, I don't have to try to struggle to get it up over my head without banging it into the wall. And then I've got my standard bar here. This is just my regular American barbell power bar. It's technically a Grizzly bar. And then I have my little curl bar that goes here, and then I have my Elite Fitness press bar right here. And so actually this SSB is an Elite Fitness SS yoke. This Kratos branding is, so their supplier had, I don't know, a dozen or 2 dozen left over after Elite switched to another supplier, and so they just rebranded these and sold them under a different name for less money. Anyway, so I like this. This bar only weighs 35 pounds, and so it's easy to just get all the way up there, and the vertical handles help with that too. This one, because it's lighter, is easier to put up and down. This one's at a pretty manageable level, and then this one being the lowest is it helps because it's the heaviest. And also just from an aesthetic point of view, it looks pretty good because it kind of tapers up a little bit with the bar ends. It doesn't look like everything's all goofy. The only difference being that curl bar. If it was on the top, it would be better. But if you think about it, this is hanging from the top part of this bar. So if I put this in the middle somewhere, it's going to take up more space. So by putting it at the top, I can actually raise that hook even higher, and I'm maximizing what little vertical space I have here. And in the future, if I accumulate more bars, then I have the option of adding a hook lower, dropping the SSB, and putting the other bar here, or I could just keep moving. Like I can keep moving down or I can keep moving up. But right now, it's nice because this height, my bench sits about here, I would say, just about in between the outlet and the bottom of the SSB. So you can leave the bench there all the time, or these pull blocks, when I'm not using the belt squat, they'll fold up, and they're not, I mean, they do touch the bottom of the handles, but it's not like, I mean, you can fold them down and you can get to bars behind them if that's what you want to do. Anyway, so yeah, 9-minute video on a cheap little hack here, but maybe you'll find that helpful and saves you some money. Oh, one last thing. These are just plain, aluminum hooks. Maybe they're steel. No, they're aluminum. If you want to keep them from dinging your bars up, you got a couple options. What I did is I just took a roll of electrical tape, and I just wrapped each one of the hooks where the bar touches it in electrical tape. That works just fine. It eventually gets ate up, and then you just pull it off and rewrap it. Electrical tape's super cheap. The other thing you could do is you could get like some rubber vacuum line and just cut it to length and slide it over here. That would work real well. And, I'm sure there are other creative solutions to that. But anyway, that sort of takes the place of the whole UHMW plastic ordeal. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching.